Want to know the latest in soccer? Then listen to the Golden State Media Concepts Soccer Podcast. From MLS, the World Cup, and the Premier League, we've got you covered. The latest updates, the hottest matches, and news on the league's top players. It's the Golden State Media Concepts Soccer Podcast.
David Beckham scores the goal to take England all the way to the World Cup finals.
Listen now.
Welcome. Thank you for tuning in to the GSMC Soccer Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. My name is Craig Jones. I'll be your host today. You can think of me as the Canadian footy man, because lordy, the over-under of games I've watched this week has got to be 40. And I know my fellow footy fans know the feeling of just parking it down on the couch. 45 minutes, then halftime hits, you rush up, you get a little drink, you get some snacks, and you head back for another 45. And that's what I was doing all week, because I love not having to deal with commercials. That's one of the best things about footy. So last time I gave you guys a nice international breakdown. I touched on pretty much every league, and I offered you some goals that were near and dear to my heart. But today we're going to start off, we're going to go Champions League. The groups have been set. So excited for this. Champions League is one of my favorite tournaments in the world to watch. I'm really excited to give this a nice breakdown. We're going to follow that up with the Europa. Europa is the second cousin to Champions League. It's not as good. It's the lesser teams, but you can still, there's a lot of talent in there. We're going to finish it off. We got a little England breakdown, Prems in full effect, the Carabao Cup, and then to top it off, the top 10, my top 10 list of players under 25. And I really take my pride on this, because I want the listeners to have an idea of who these young bucks are, so you can watch them for years to come and you can see their development, because there's a lot of young studs out there. They're taking over the league. It's not the old days anymore where you have to be 30 before you make your impact. Like, these kids are coming in at 18 years old and they're scoring big goals. So there's a lot of young studs in the game, so keep an eye out for that. Let's start it off. The Champions. Trust me, I love the World Cup, but I love me some Champions League. I just think it's so cool when you have a small club from a small nation. They can go on a little Cinderella run, and the whole nation backs them. It's really interesting, because when you watch Champions League, when once a team gets knocked out, their loyalty in the country switches. And if another Italian team is the only one left, then all the Italian teams jump on board, and it's really cool to see it happen, because I don't think a lot of people cheer for their rivals, but Champions League brings it out. So whether it's Denmark, Sweden, or Italy, like, look at last year with Atalanta, as everyone rallied behind them, especially everyone in Italy with everything going on. Like Atalanta, for those unfamiliar, last year they made a huge run. They made it to the quarterfinals. They're huge underdogs, and they just kept winning. And add that to the fact that, like, Atalanta plays in the city of Bergamo, they have only 100,000 people, but somehow they had 3,000 deaths from COVID. So it was one of those cool stories that everyone jumped on board, and they got beat in the last little bit of extra time by PSG 2-1. It was devastating. It was 2 quick goals, but still, like, what a ride to watch. And that's what Champions League can do, is it can bring out all the little boys, and then they turn into giants. So that's what I'm hoping to see this year. But enough of the past. Let's get into the future here. The pots were put together, the cauldrons were done, and then the draws were made. And I love how Champions League, they just make sure that no teams from the same country can play each other until the round of 16, I believe. And that way you get more, like, a lot of interesting matchups. And if things really do jump off, it's going to be in the quarters of the semis. But enough of that. Drum roll, please. Group number 1. Bayern Munich, Atletico Madrid, FC Salzburg, and Lokomotiv Moskva. Well, good luck to Lokomotiv and Salzburg because they're going to need it on this one. No disrespect to the Russians, the Austrians, but wow, they got really unlucky in this draw. Salzburg honestly might have stood a chance if they still had their blonde bomber, Erling Haaland, but they let him go to Dortmund. And honestly, it's a true testament to them for still being able to qualify after all that, losing their star striker. But they're here. Lokomotiv is a really hard place to play. That they have a reputation of just being a really awful place for opposing teams to come into, but given the lack of fans, this definitely is going to hurt them. This would be really good for them if they was able to have fans, so their X factor is like somewhat nullified. So Bayern Munich, reigning champions, heavy favorites to repeat. They have a deep young lineup, but they sprinkle in that little bit of veteran leadership and proven success. So you have your vets in Lewandowski and Thomas Müller and Neuer and the keeper. So that makes up the veteran side. But then you have all the young bucks. And that's the thing about Bayern is everyone needs to be watching out for is they're going to be this team for many years to come. They got Alphonso Davies from my hometown of Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. You combo that with Joshua Kimmich, who I'm going to say flat out is one of the most complete players in the world. Like he's like a super soldier. He's good at everything. There's nothing that Joshua Kimmich can't do. It's so impressive. They got Coman and Gnabry up front. And then they just added Leroy Sané too from Man City. So the rich get richer for these Bavarian giants. Sané's going to have a thing or two to prove. He had that rough injury last year. He was already supposed to make the move. Now he finally made the move. I'm going to be watching out for them because Champions League is one of those weird tournaments where you can't play all your cards right away. You have to wait because you have different matchups. You have to plan your players strategically. And I'm excited to see that, and I expect a lot of young bucks in those games against Salzburg and Lokomotiv. But the game I already have circled is the Atleti games. Because Atletico Madrid, they've already taken over the role as the bad guys. Like, with that signing of Luis Suarez. Wow. Like, Suarez has a blemish reputation, obviously, including some biting and spitting incidents. And Diego Costa, he's known as somewhat of a dirty player. He's got a habit of throwing a little foot stomps here and there. So he's not the most well-liked player. And, of course, their head coach is Diego Simeone. If anyone hasn't seen it, please YouTube the David Beckham send-off in the 1998 World Cup with Simeone. He goads him into it. He rocks him with a tackle. Simeone rocks him with a tackle. Beckham gives him a little love tap with the feet after it and gets the quick send-off with a straight red. It's hilarious in hindsight, but it's very crazy for English fans who definitely have labeled Simeone as somewhat of a bad guy. But Atleti is a defensively strong team. The combo of Suarez, Costa, and João Felix, who is one of my favorite players to watch. João Felix, what a talent. And it's going to be an interesting matchup against Munich. And the top two from each advance in this tournament, so I expect both Bayern and Atleti to come out of this. But they'll want that number one spot because it can help avoid any unfavorable matchups in the next round. So this is definitely going to be pretty much a walkover for these two teams, but it'll still be fun to watch those two matches against Atleti and Bayern because those two will be both of them either in the semis or the quarters for sure. All right, let's head on over to the second group. Real Madrid, Shakhtar Donetsk, Internacional, and Borussia Mönchengladbach. So all the Los Blancos fans out there, they'll be pleased with this draw because frankly, Madrid hasn't been playing that well this year. They just lost their $100 million man, Eden Hazard, for months to come. Weird stat. Eden Hazard missed 20 games the 6 years he was at Chelsea. And in 2 years so far for Los Blancos, he's missed 23 games. Madrid's got to be upset about that. And Maybe it's all just there's too much good food in Spain compared to England. I'm guessing that's what is causing it. But Madrid's been vulnerable all year, so this draw should be an interesting one. Because Shakhtar and Mönchengladbach, they're no pushovers. And honestly, if I looked at this group, to me, Inter is the best club of these four right now. The Italian Giants, they've been making a resurgence under Conte. They got Lukaku playing really well up front as just a clinical finisher. He's found his touch. They added Arturo Vidal, and I really think Inter could be one of those teams that like make a shock surprise this year. They're definitely, I think, going to be on top of this group. Mönchengladbach, they've been playing really well. This is the first time they actually qualified for Champions League in 4 years, so they can't be overlooked. And the Ukrainian Giants and Shakhtar Donetsk, they're always down to give you a few shock wins, so I'd be keeping an eye out for them. Madrid away to Inter will be interesting because I know the other clubs can sneak out a tie against Los Blancos. So Madrid could be in a world of hurt for this, and they are the Champions League. They to me personally, like Real Madrid's synonymous with Champions League. They have the most victories all time, 13 wins. They could get 14. Ronaldo led them to 5. But when you let go of Bale and you let go of James Rodriguez, that could leave you a little short bench for games like this in Champions League because you need a deep lineup to do all the different tournaments they do. So it'll be interesting to see. I don't know. It could be fun to watch. I don't think this is a walk in the park for Real Madrid. So I'd be thinking Inter is going to take out the top in this draw. Real will probably finish second, but watch out for Mönchengladbach and Shakhtar. They're not going to, like I said, they're not going to be any pushovers here. But let's transition group number 3. We have FC Porto, Manchester City, Olympiacos, and Marseille. Well, the Man City cheaters lucked out again. I'm kidding around, but seriously, they got a pretty lucky draw here. The financial fair play violators will definitely end up first in this group, but second is completely up for grabs. You got Porto and Marseille are both Champions League veterans. They're always hanging out. And the Greek side of Olympiacos, they've been known to cause grief for opponents because their defensive game is something special to watch. I've witnessed it as an Arsenal fan. I've seen Arsenal lose to Olympiacos just because they know how to lock it down and they know how to play well. And I feel like some of these matches are going to be wide open. When you watch Porto and Marseille and stuff, it's going to be really fun to watch. But a lot of these games are going to be those hard-fought 1-1s. Or maybe we'll have some 4-2s, 4-3s. But I really think it's going to be a lot of hard-fought 1-1s. It's going to be exciting. Man City is likely going to trounce everyone in the group. But they've been shaky all season, so I don't know about Man City. Pep's already spent $400 million just on his back line alone. And he continues to spend just signing Ruben Diaz. They're not messing around in Man City. They have no problem spending money. But they still don't have a Champions League title. So Pep's got the pressure on him for this one. I know they want to get this. So they're going to get a walk in the park. So good for the Man City cheaters. But as we go on here, group number 4, we got Liverpool, Ajax, Atalanta, and Midtjylland. So in this one, Liverpool definitely looking to regain their title. They sputtered out last year, right before games went fanless because of COVID. They lost to Atletico. But this year they won the Prem. They're poised to do it again. Their front three of Mane, Firmino, and Salah is one of the best in the world. They're going to be a menace to this group. Having said that, this is actually a secret fun group to watch because, as I mentioned earlier, Atalanta, they pulled off a Cinderella run to go to the quarters, and they can score goals. They definitely can put the ball in the back of the net. They outscored the rest of the Serie A by 15 goals last year, so definitely they're going to be a fun team to watch, and everyone should keep an eye out for Atalanta this year again. Midtjylland is a small little Danish club. They'll be in trouble in this group, and I know they'll enjoy the financial boost from being in Champions League, and I think that's where their fun will end. But Ajax holds a special place in my heart. like many footy fans out there, I feel like that anytime you go to a game, you kind of just adopt that team. You kind of become a fan. And that's what happened for me with Ajax. I was in Amsterdam. I got to go watch the Dutch Giants host their rivals, ADO Den Haag. It's such a fun time in Amsterdam. They have this nice tradition. They always sing Bob Marley's "Don't Worry, everything's gonna be all right." I love that every single halftime. That's just the culture in Amsterdam. It's maintaining the positive. The fans are great. And when I set up the tickets, I got a stadium tour, I got scarves, I got coupons for free beers. Like they definitely make it such a fan-friendly experience. I hope we can get back to that point. But honestly, I don't know who's going to come out of this group. Liverpool is definitely going to be on top, but the rest, like, it could be anything. Like Atalanta can definitely shock anybody. High-flying Ajax, they always play a great game of soccer. I know they've been pillaged lately in the last, losing a lot of their big players, including De Ligt and Van de Beek and De Jong. But I think this one's going to come down to goal differential. But yeah, so I really hope these boys are ready to play defense, because every game is going to matter for everyone here. So this will be one of the funnest groups to watch, and everyone keep an eye out for Group 4, because Liverpool may be on top, but I have no idea who's coming out second. So. But let's transition. Group number 5. Here we go. We got Sevilla, Chelsea, Krasnodar, and Rennes. Well, the Blues got an absolute cakewalk on this one. Chelsea, they had a huge offseason signings. They signed Timo Werner. They signed Kai Havertz, Thiago Silva on a free transfer, and then they stole Ben Chilwell from Leicester. And of course, they get a cakewalk into the next round. Like, I guess the rich get richer. So, yeah, the Sevilla definitely is going to be they're the reigning Europa champions. They'll give the Blues some trouble, but I think Chelsea's going to win this group. Rennes has made a nice jump in the French league. I was lucky enough to actually see them play when I saw them against Paris Saint-Germain. You could tell even back then they were just a young, fun club. This was a couple of years ago, and that's translated to them coming to Champions League, which is really exciting for them. Krasnodar, a little more Russian representation in the group, the Champions League in general, but I expect that's all they're going to be doing is just representing the Champions League for Russia, because I don't see any wins coming out of Krasnodar. But the other clubs are just richer. They'll be lucky to win a game, but in Champions League, you never know what can happen. I know it's going to be fun to watch that Chelsea-Sevilla game. Frank Lampard's been under some heat lately because people are questioning his selection for matches. So this could definitely lead to a misstep as he tries to balance all his different lineups. We'll see. I think the Spanish Giants, they could swoop in and take first. This isn't a walk in the park for Chelsea. But regardless, I think those two are definitely advancing. They're going to be battling for 1 and 2 to avoid the unfavorable matchup in the next group. But Rennes shouldn't be slept on, and I really think that they're a great team. They got a bunch of young talent, and in Champions League, upsets are commonplace. They're not outliers, so you can have it at any point. And I'll be watching this one closely because I also don't like Chelsea as an Arsenal fan, so I'll be hoping they take an L. So here we go. Let's go Group 6. We got Zenit St. Petersburg. We got Borussia Dortmund. We got Lazio, and then Club Brugge. So once again, the Russians continue their representation with St. Petersburg. Zenit St. Petersburg here. This is a weird thing for me because I've always wanted to visit St. Petersburg. I'm a big history buff. My minor's in history, so I know that because Peter the Great established St. Petersburg as the actual capital before it was moved to Moscow. But he wanted it to be that nice blend of Europe and Russia. You can see it in its architecture. And Zenit fans, I'm sure they're hoping that blend translates to the pitch. Because they could emerge from this group. They could have that European feel in this group. Dortmund in the yellow wall, they're hoping to block that advancement by Russia with Erling Haaland, Jordan Sancho, and if somehow Marco Reus, knock on wood, can stay healthy, he's going to be a problem. The Belgian beasts of Club Brugge, they're no slouches, and they could advance in this weird group. If I was ranking this group, I'd go Dortmund number 1, But after that, like, everything's up for grabs. Like, Lazio, strong Italian club, but they're no Juventus, they're no Inter, they're no Napoli. They're not even in Atalanta. So they're not some giant that's just going to get a walkthrough in this. I always cheer for Dortmund because I love the yellow wall, and I really cheer for that. The fans there. The Russians are going to hope in Peter the Great advances in this round. I don't know who I'd pick in this. I really think that Dortmund and Zenit are going to come out of this because Zenit doesn't get the respect it deserves, but they always have a strong club. Once again, they're like a lot of other Russian clubs, very tough places to play. Who knows what's going to happen? Their Champions League's already announced that they hope to have fans about 30% capacity, so maybe they're going to have that little bit of an X factor. We're going to have to see. I'm excited, but the thing is, just like everybody else, day by day, we adjust things because who knows how things are going to change every single day. Let's go Group 7 here. We got Juventus, Barcelona, Dinamo Kiev, and Ferencváros. I'm calling a fix here. They set this up. Like, Champions League set this up because they knew what the fans wanted. It's been too long since we've seen it, but we finally got it again. Ronaldo and Messi against each other. Baby. Juventus, Barcelona. I'm so excited for this group. I'm pumped for Ferencváros because how often does a European or a Hungarian club get to have back-to-back matchups against Messi and Ronaldo? Like, this is going to be so good for their fans. It's a tough matchup, of course, but they're going to benefit financially from this. They're going to benefit from the publicity of it, and even their fans are going to just love every second of it. To get to watch Ronaldo and Messi against your club is such a cool thing. I know only a handful of you knew that Ferencváros was a Hungarian powerhouse, but I'll let that slide. We got Kiev, who's the Ukrainian giants, but there are minnows in this group. Like, definitely minnows. Juventus and Barcelona, they've both been like, this game has been circled on my calendar as soon as I saw it. I've been waiting to see Ronnie and Messi against each other. It makes me sad. It's been so long. Messi looks absolutely miserable in Barcelona. And Ronnie's been talked about wanting to leave the Italian Giants, do a little conquer another league. But regardless, we get Ronnie, we get Messi, Champions League. I'm so excited. I'm a neutral in this because Arsenal's not in this tournament. But I'm really excited. These guys this is the GOAT. This is the GOAT conversation. People have talked about it for years. Ronnie's been Mr. Champions League. He's got 5 Champions League titles. Messi only has 4. So I'm excited to see this. The other teams in this group are gonna be in tough, and no disrespect to Dinamo Kiev or Ferencváros. You guys, to be in Champions League is a real feat, but we're gonna be seeing Juventus and Barcelona advance in this group. So let's finish it off, and we got Paris Saint-Germain, Manchester United, RB Leipzig, and Istanbul Başakşehir. Well, here's the group of death. The group of death, the group of death. It took a long time to get here, but we always have one. It took to the very end. There's always a group of death. Everybody knows it. This year we got Paris Saint-Germain, Manchester United, RB Leipzig, and Istanbul Başakşehir. I would have loved to see the faces of the Istanbul managers when they were tossed in this group. I'm guessing they were laughing, crying, and then just shrugging, because what else are you going to do? Paris is a hell of a place to see a game, and I'm definitely cheering for Mbappe to end his time at PSG, because there's been rumors he wants out, so he can end on a nice win, bring them a Champions League title. If he does end up leaving, like, this is going to hurt France a lot, especially Paris Saint-Germain. Man U, they need to establish themselves again on this international stage, and Ole's yet to do that. They have no international success in the past while, and I know with Sir Alex Ferguson, it's almost like you set the bar too high, and that's what I think happened with this. For Ole's he's got to bring Manchester United back to that. They're one of the biggest clubs in the world for a reason. RB Leipzig, though, this is why this is the group of death. RB Leipzig made a nice run last year. They've lost their star striker in Timo Werner, but they still managed to do it even without him in the Champions League. They had some shock defeats. They beat Atletico. This is definitely the group of death. I don't know who's coming out of this. This is going to be such a fun one to watch. Every single game is going to matter. Istanbul might, but that's the thing about Champions League is these guys could be the little shockers. Istanbul could be the team that gives RB Leipzig a tie that hurts them in the goal difference. They could be Man U, give them a tie. Because that's the thing about soccer is like when you're at home and you can just shut down, park the bus, take a 1-1 draw. Could be big trouble for a lot of these teams. I'd be guessing Paris Saint-Germain is going to come out of this one. And then I would say, I think RB Leipzig is going to come out. I don't believe in Man U. I don't like the way they're playing lately. I don't like the makeup of their team. They need to switch. I don't know how they're going to do it, but stay tuned after the break. I'm going to give you a little English breakdown. And then once again at the end, I got my top under 25 list. There's a lot of young studs out there. We got to give them some acknowledgement. So stay tuned.
Are you looking to get your college football fix? Looking to get the latest news on your favorite school's team? The GSMC College Football Podcast is your ticket to all things college football. Join us as we talk college football from the national championship, the college rivalries, the bowl game, to the Heisman Trophy. To which conference is the best? We've got you covered for the Big Ten, SEC, Big 12, the Pac-12, ACC, and everything in between. Download the GSMC College Football Podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type GSMC in the search bar.
Welcome back to the GSMC Soccer Podcast. I'm Craig Jones. We just finished giving you a nice breakdown of the Champions League. So now we mosey on over to the lesser of leagues. I understand that Europa, it's not as sought after as the other, but stick around to the end because we're gonna give you. I still have my top 10 list of under 25 players. It's gonna be great. You're gonna want to hear this. But let's start it off with the Europa League. It's no Champions League, I understand. But it's still a great league, and the winner of it gets to go into Champions League. It always has that certain allure, because no matter what, you may be playing in the second tournament, but you can still get into the big boy tournament at the end. So let's start off, group number one, we got Roma, we got the Young Boys, we got CFR Sluj, and then CSKA Sofia. A lot of teams that I understand when I say Europa, there's going to be a lot of teams you guys don't know, and trust me, I hear you. If Arsenal wasn't in Europa, I don't think I'd know half these teams either, but you get to know a lot of them. Roma's obviously going to come out of this group. Cool story about Roma. Those unfamiliar, Francesco Totti, I talked about it last time. It's such a crazy story that a poor gal was in a coma. She had been in a coma for 9 months, and then a huge Roma fan, and Francesco Totti sent a video to her, and then hearing his voice woke her out of a coma. I'm not even joking. And he went and visited her, and she wasn't able to chat, but she wrote to him on the tablet, and it's something special, and that's what footy can do to people. It can touch lives, and Totti's a legend. I think he was there for 25 years. I think he was in Roma, so he's definitely a legend, and that's such a cool thing. So I see Roma coming out of this group. The Young Boys are actually a really fun team. They made a Champions League run a few years ago, so I can see them coming out of this group. They're going to be anytime your team name is the Young Boys, you're going to have some fun with it. So I'd be watching for the Young Boys in Roma to come out of this. No disrespect to Cluj and to CSKA, but I really think that the Young Boys in Roma are coming out of this. Next group. Started off with Arsenal. Here we go. It's Arsenal. We got Rapid Wien, Molde, and Dundalk. And thank good for Arsenal. This is a great group for them to come into. as I mentioned, when you win Europa, you win Champions League, and that's Arsenal should be aiming to do. They need to win this tournament. They're too big of a club to be sitting in here. They should be in Champions League. It's been too long. And I think, yeah, this is their time. They got an easy walk through the group. They lost last year or 2 years ago in the Europa final, so this is tough for them. I got faith in Arsenal. I don't have faith in Rapid Wien, Molde, or Dundalk. So Arsenal's definitely going to be coming out of this group. Arteta's. I'm really interested to see the lineups he uses for this one. They're still alive in the Carabao. They need to finish top 6 and top 4 in the Prem. So he's going to have a tough time balancing all these rosters, just like a lot of managers are, because there's not a lack of games, you could say, and especially with the COVID break, and then now they're just trying to jam as many fixtures as they can. So Arsenal's going to come out of this group, I'm hoping, and I really think that they need to use this as a platform to really jump off. I expect a lot of young players to be playing in this. You'll see a lot of Reece Nelson, you'll see a lot of Joe Willock, you'll see a lot of the guys that you don't expect. Not a lot of Aubameyang, I'm guessing, but let's save Aubameyang for the league games. Let's mosey on over to Group C here. We got Bayer Leverkusen, Slavia Prague, Habel Beersheva, and Nice. This is kind of a fun group, actually. Like, for those unfamiliar, Slavia Prague's actually a secret great team coming out of the Czech Republic. They're really fun to watch. Nice, again, always, anytime you get a French giant in there, they have history. They're a great team. Bayer Leverkusen, I know they lost Kai Havertz. That was their German wonder kid, but Bayer Leverkusen constantly makes an appearance. I'm surprised they're even in Europa this year. They're usually a staple into Champions League, but everybody has off years, so they're going to be looking to make their jump back to the Champs League. I don't know who comes out in this, because Hapoel, they're a little secret team too. I'm really excited to see this. This group could be really fun to watch. I think Nice and Leverkusen, but I like I said, Slavia Prague is a good, strong squad, so don't sleep on them by any means. Let's transition. Next one, we got Benfica, Standard Liège, Rangers, and Lech Poznan. This one's fun because, like, I really love the Rangers. I really think that people underestimate that Scottish football. There's a lot of good teams in there. They got Celtic and Rangers as like the dominant ones, but they play against good competition every year. I'm excited to see them make their jump into Europa here. Standard Liège, great team. Benfica, classic. So this one's a fun one to watch. I really am excited to see this one. I think the Rangers are actually going to end up on top of the group. I know a lot of people will be picking Benfica, but Rangers are a secret good squad. Gerrard's leading them. Don't sleep on the Scots, because they're going to be a good team this year, and I'm really excited to see this group. Standard Liège gave Arsenal trouble last year. I know firsthand that they can win games, and Benfica, they lost a lot of players, because I know they lost Fabio Silva. They lost a couple of their young bucks, which is bound to happen in footy. Is the rich get richer, and they poach the young players. But Benfica's they're not going out of this, so watch out for these guys. Next off, we go PSV, PAOK, Granada, and Omonia. And I apologize, I'm butchering some of these names, but like a few of these teams I've seen just a handful of times. PSV Eindhoven, I know them because of Ajax. They're a Dutch team. They're really a good squad. They're definitely going to be coming out of the top of this group. I know PAOK is just, I've seen them play before in Europa. They're a good squad. But PSV Eindhoven, I just watch out for these Dutch teams. I think a lot of people sleep on the Dutch teams. Not a lot of people watch the Dutch league. I get it. Every single country has their own league. I get it's a lot to follow. But PSV, Ajax, you have a lot of Otto Den Haag. You have a lot of good squads in the Dutch league. And PSV is definitely going to be coming out on top of this group. And I'd be scared of them to go deeper. So this is a fun group. Yeah, I'm taking Eindhoven in this one. But let's keep it moving. We go to the next one. We got Napoli, Real Sociedad, AZ Alkmaar, and Rijeka. Yeah, Napoli and Real Sociedad. I can't believe these two got each other in the same group. They're both going to walk out of this. Alkmaar and Rijeka, they're good squads, but they're nothing like the Italian and the Spanish giants here. Like Napoli and Real Sociedad are both really good squads. Real Sociedad, actually, that's funny. I get to see David Silva play there, the old Man City legend. He just made the switch to this, so that's going to be really fun. Napoli, always a good squad. Surprised to see them in Europa. They're usually a Champions League staple. They have a lot of good players. They're going to be a fun one to watch. You got Dries Mertens up front and stuff. I'd be watching out for Napoli and Real Sociedad in this whole tournament. I'm surprised they got put in the same group, but that's just how it works in the draws. So they're definitely going to be somebody the teams are keeping an eye out for. Let's move on here. We got Braga, we got Leicester City, we got AEK Athens, and we got Zorya Luhansk. Leicester. I can't believe this. This is crazy. They should be in Champions League. They're killing the Prem right now. They got the Golden Boot winner in Jamie Vardy. Leicester is going to be a squad to watch out for. If I see an Arsenal-Leicester final, that wouldn't surprise me. Two English teams, because they're going to dominate this group. Jamie Vardy, I don't know if Jamie Vardy is even going to play in the Europa, because he's getting saved for all the big games in the Prem after putting up a hat-trick against Man City. Good luck to Braga. Good luck to AEK Athens and Zorya. But I really think that Athens is going to come out of this group. The Greek teams, they always play the strong game. They play a strong defensive game. They're not going to come out here and try to be high scoring. They're going to beat you. They're going to try counter, and they're going to hopefully wait till you make a mistake and then come in with a sneak attack. So watch out for Leicester and Athens in this group. Braga's a good team, but I still think Leicester and Athens is going to be popping out of Group G. All right, here we go over to Group H. We got Celtic, Sparta Prague, AC Milan, and Lille. Well, we didn't have to wait till the end like Champions League to get to the group of death, because this is it right here. I feel bad for a lot of these fans, because every game is going to be tough. Like Sparta Prague they're a Czech beast. Celtic, as I mentioned, that Scottish football, they're strong squads. You got AC Milan and Lille. Man, I don't know who's going to be coming out of this. AC Milan's got Zlatan Ibrahimovic, one of my favorite players of all time. The ageless wonder, Benjamin Button, as he calls himself. He's just going to keep scoring. Celtic is a good squad, and then I know everyone's hoping you can get Celtic and Rangers somehow later in the round, because, wow, do they hate each other. But Lille is a good French squad, so this is definitely the group of death. I don't know who I'd be picking in this. I think AC Milan should come up at the end, and Celtic's been playing really well, but Lille, don't sleep on the French teams. A lot of people do that, and we did it last year when you saw how deep Lyon went in Champions League. No one was thinking they could get there, but they did. Gun to my head, I'm definitely taking AC Milan and Celtic in this one. Yeah, I think it's going to... Either way, the Italian Giants, they're making that resurgence. Zlatan's leading them. They're tired of Inter running Milan. That used to be their town, and they haven't been running it lately. So AC is going to be making their jump, and watch out for them and Zlatan. He'll be playing some big games. Let's go over to Group I here. We got Villarreal, Qarabag, the Maccabi Tel Aviv, and Sivasspor. Maccabi Tel Aviv, watch out for these guys, because the Jewish Giants, they're a great team. I've seen Tel Aviv play a few times. One of them notably beating Arsenal, but Villarreal is going to come out likely on top. The Spanish team they're always a staple. They've had deep Europa runs. I think they were in the Europa final a few years ago, actually. And then Tel Aviv, you're going to have all of Israel riding behind them. They're going to be trying to make their jump. Qarabag's a good team. They're also a staple in Europa, but Villarreal and Tel Aviv will be coming out of this one. Let's go over to Group J. We got the Tottenham Hotspurs, Ludo Goretz, Lask, and Antwerp. Yeah, well, the Hotspurs got a nice little walk here. This is an easy group for them. They're going to do really well here. Antwerp is probably the next biggest team to come in there. Ludogorets is once again a Europa. I've seen them a few times play, but honestly, this is going to be a Hotspurs and Antwerp walkthrough. the Hotspurs need to get themselves back. They were in Champions League. They were in the Champions League final 2 years ago, and they had a huge drop-off. It's surprising them to see them even in Europa, considering their success, but that's what injuries can do. They got Harry Kane back healthy. They got a new manager in there with Mourinho. They let Pochettino go. And for those unfamiliar, if you want to get a little bit know about Hotspurs, like they just had this new documentary on Amazon, The All or Nothing. It gives you a nice glimpse into the inner workings of a football club, and I understand, yeah, of course, you're gonna all the footage is gonna be polished and edited, but you still get to see who Mourinho is, and you get to see kind of just a glimpse into why he is the manager he is. After watching that documentary, I get it why people say that he has like a three season lifeline, because then he starts to wear on players because he demands the best, and you can see it, and he doesn't let anybody skate, and he won't. He's not afraid to he doesn't mince words. Let's just say that. So Tottenham's definitely going to be coming out of this one. Antwerp is definitely a good club. I'll be watching for them. Next one up, we got CSKA Moscow, we got Dinamo, we got Feyenoord, and we got a Wolfsburger. CSKA. I really like CSKA Moscow. They're a scary place to play. That's their whole thing. Them and Spartak have a fierce rivalry. It sucks that we're not going to have fans in this one. I don't know. We have 30% fans, maybe, but it's still not going to be the same atmosphere. I know I've heard players talk about going into Moscow as one of the toughest places to play. Same thing goes for Dinamo. I saw a wild documentary about just crazy football fanatics, and Dinamo's group was in there. They were like, their ultras were so crazy because the owner tried to change the name of Dinamo, and they burnt down the owner's box in retaliation, and then sure enough he changed the name back to Dinamo. So they're in a different ball game. Feyenoord is once again a really good Dutch team. I'll be watching for them too. This one's kind of it's like a mini group of death, because CSKA, Dinamo, and Feyenoord are all equal playing ground. Wolfsburg, like, good squad, but not to the level of them. I see the Croatian Dinamo coming out of this because I don't know, actually. Man, this really is the mini group of death here, because Feyenoord always puts up a good squad. They always give Ajax a hard time. They always give Otto Den Haag a good time. They give PSV Eindhoven a hard time. So if I had to pick, I'd go Dinamo, just because the Croatians are going to be looking to have some representation in here. But CSKA, watch out for CSKA. Those Russian teams, man, they're always a tough place to play in. And I know they're they're not Spartak. It's not Spartak and CSKA, but either way, when you see a game in Moscow, you feel it. And they're going to be looking for a little advancement here. So let's finish it off here. We got Ghent, we got Red Star, we got Hoffenheim, and we got Slovan Liberec. Offhand, I know a lot of people aren't going to be really grasping this, but Ghent's a really good squad. Hoffenheim's another good squad, but Red Star, watch out for these Serbs. So people don't get it. If you want to see a cool video, look up Red Star Belgrade, where it's an infamous video because players have all raved about how crazy it is to walk into that stadium, and that's what it is in Red Star. I get it that COVID has taken that away from us, but that looming entrance with the flares going off and the drums, and they set it up so when you go through the stadium, you have to walk through the entire stadium as a player. So it's almost like you have to walk underneath all the fans. So you have to take in all that every single time you come onto the pitch. And that's such a cool thing that Red Star Belgrade does. It's a crazy place to play. I can only imagine, but why not use it? Like, that's your home advantage. That's what soccer is. That's what footy is you take advantage, and that's why it's tough to go into these places. And that's why there's the away goal difference, and because you have to have something. There's always these variables, and that's why these beautiful tournaments exist, because it's not the same winner every year. Nobody knows. That's the thing about footy. You're gonna have upsets. Like last year, Atalanta rocked teams. You had back 3 years ago, you had Ajax beat Real Madrid. You have these teams in these knockout stages that knock out these giants. And this group is definitely, it's going to be Red Star. And I don't know, because Gent plays really well. They're a secret team, but Hoffenheim has been playing well lately. I think Red Star is going to be at the top of the group, regardless if they have their home advantage or not. They're still going to be there. I'm excited for this one. I'd be probably, I'm going to go Red Star and Hoffenheim to walk out of this one. So, but that's your full Europa breakdown. I'm just going to run through it one more time just so you guys know. You got Roma, Young Boys, CFR Sluj, and CSKA Sofia. I'm taking Roma and Young Boys out of that one. You got Arsenal, Rapid Wien, Molde, and Dundalk. I'm probably taking Arsenal and Molde. I think. I don't know. I know Arsenal better come out of the top of that group. Group C, we got Bayer Leverkusen, Slavia Prague, Hapoel Beersheva, and Nice. I'm going Leverkusen and Prague. Yeah, let's do it. I know Nice is a nice team, but I'm still going Leverkusen Prague. Next, we got Benfica Standard Liège, Rangers, and Lech Poznan. This one's definitely going Benfica and Rangers. I think Rangers are going to come out on top. We got Group B. We got PSV Eindhoven, PAOK, Granada, and Omonia. This one, I think PAOK and PSV is definitely going to be at the top. That Dutch team is playing really well lately, so I'd be going with PSV. Group F, we got Napoli, Real Sociedad, AZ Alkmaar, and Rijeka. This one's Napoli and Real Sociedad all day. The Italians and the Spaniards are going to be fighting to who holds the top of that group. Next, we got Braga, Leicester City, AFK Askins, and Zorya Luhansk. Leicester's going to be coming out of this. I'm guessing a lot of people think Braga, but I think AFK Athens. They're actually a secret, really tough defensive squad, but Leicester is going to be walking through. And if Jamie Vardy even plays in the Europa, he's going to be scoring 50 goals a game, so watch out for them. We got Celtic, Prague, AC Milan, and Lille next. Yeah, this is the group of death. I don't know. This one, I'd go AC Milan and Celtic if I had to. But watch out for Sparta, Prague, and Lille. French Giants still. None of these teams are going to go down easy. This is, anyone is a Europa fan, you should have these games circled because all these games are going to be exciting. Really, really pumped for that group. We got Villarreal, Qarabag, Maccabi Tel Aviv, and Sivasspor in Group I. We're going Villarreal, and like I said, Tel Aviv, all of Israel is going to be back in that squad, so watch out for them. Group J, we got Tottenham, Ludo Goretz, Lask, and Antwerp. Hotspurs and Antwerp are coming out of this one, and I say that with a grain of salt. I can't stand Tottenham, but I'll still say they're coming out of this group. Group K, we got CSKA, Dinamo, Feyenoord, and Wolfsberger. Yeah, this mini group of death, man. Let's go Dinamo and CSKA, I think. Feyenoord's a good squad, but I think Dinamo and CSKA are coming out of this one. And to finish off, Ghent, Red Star, Hoffenheim, Slovan Liberec. As I mentioned, Red Star, really tough place to play. If they're able to get fans in there, they're still going to have a factor, but we're going to go Red Star and Ghent in this one. So that's your Europa breakdown. I gave you my Champions League breakdown earlier. This is the Europa. We're going to come back. We're going to talk a little England. I just want to touch on the Carabao Cup, English Prem, and then we're going to finish it off with my top 10 of 20 players under 25. I want you guys all to keep an eye on these young studs because it makes them more fun to watch into the future. So stay tuned.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Welcome back to the GSMC Soccer Podcast. I'm Craig Jones. I just finished giving you the breakdown of the Europa League and the Champions League before that. Right now we're going to dive into the Prem because, man, I love me some English football and it's been great lately. We're going to finish it off with my top 10 list of kids under 25. There's a lot of young studs, and like I said earlier, it's always nice to know about them so you can see them grow and develop over the years, and maybe I can just put some of these guys on the radar for you, and that's what I'm hoping to do. But let's go right to England here. The Carabao Cup has been going on. Anyone got to see? There were some really nice matchups, actually. Like, you had Tottenham and Chelsea. They went against each other, went all the way to PKs. I love seeing some penalties. They don't even mess around with extra time anymore. It's just game ends, right to penalties. So Tottenham was able to beat Chelsea after Mount missed that final kick. Tough for a kid like that. I hate to see it, but Tottenham goes through. Another penalty game, you had Newcastle against Newport County. Newcastle slips on through. The Newcastle's really trying to establish themselves again. I know they've had a lot of talk about new ownership coming in and adding a lot of money into it, but for now it's just they had a big win over Newport County, which should have been a walk in the park. Man City handled Burnley, no problem, 3-0. Man U, same thing with Brighton, 3-0. Everton took a big 4-1 lead over West Ham. Brentford was able to beat Fulham 3-0. Stoke City knocked off Aston Villa 1-0. And then the game of the week, anyone who saw it, Arsenal against Liverpool. It went all the way to the distance. It was a really fun game to watch. It was huge for Arsenal. I know Liverpool, they're used to winning, but for Arsenal it was big. It went all the way to penalty shots. I'm so happy for Bernd Leno. Comes back after a devastating injury, regains his starter spot. And it was hard for him because Emi Martinez was doing so well. They finally let Emi Martinez go on loan to Aston Villa. And Bernd, that's his spot, and he proved it. He almost saved a couple, and then he finally saved a big shot at the end there, giving Arsenal a much-needed boost because they needed that win. And that the Carabao Cup, I know it's not the most sought-after trophy, but it's a domestic title, and it matters to a lot of clubs, and Arsenal included, and same with Tottenham. A lot of these clubs that are just trying to get back in form, these are those little jump starters, and I think this is going to be really, really good for Arsenal. The Carabao Cup's always a fun thing. I know it's kind of that weird thing that a lot of North American sports fans don't really grasp, is because in North America, you win or there's one cup, there's a Stanley Cup, there's a Larry O'Brien, there's a Super Bowl, there's the MLB championship. It's like it's one or the other. But in soccer, you have kind of these like minor wins because it's hard to win the league, and if you didn't have these minor little wins, it makes it tough to be a fan. Because every year, if you're sitting there as a West Ham fan, and every single year you're just getting trounced, and that's all it is, it takes away from it. Plus, it gives us more games, gives us more footy to watch, keeps that little bit of excitement. And who doesn't love winning a trophy, right? Like when we were all younger, like whether it was the provincials or the state championships or the nationals or whatever it may be, winning feels good. And that's what this Carabao Cup does. I hope it can translate for Arsenal. I'm guessing this is what Tottenham's thinking too. Mourinho wants to win that. Mourinho was complaining in the media that of their overstacked fixtures list, and I get it. It's tough. And he put out a lineup that wasn't the best against Chelsea, and they were still able to win. So that's good for Tottenham. But enough of the Carabao Cup. Let's slide on over because it's match day coming up here. We're starting off. Tomorrow we got Chelsea and Crystal Palace. Then we got Everton, Brighton, Leeds United, Man City, Newcastle, Burnley, Leicester City, West Ham, Southampton, West Brom. You got a lot of good games here. I'll just go through them here. We've got Chelsea to start off with. Like I said, we got Chelsea, Crystal Palace. I feel bad for Crystal Palace because Zaha wants out of there. They need to get rid of him. I think he's being a real problem in the locker room there. Whenever you have a star that's disgruntled, he's put in the transfer request. They haven't acknowledged it. They're not going to let him out. Arsenal's been in talks with him. I think Chelsea's going to need this one to get back on form here. That loss to Tottenham stung a little. I'm guessing Chelsea really tries to trounce Crystal Palace, so this could be a big game here for Frank Lampard and his boys. I'm curious to see who he puts out there, if he puts all his new boys out there, because he's been kind of scattering them. He hasn't thrown everyone out at the same time. So I'm curious to see. I think Chelsea could trounce them, though. That could be like a 4-0 big boy win. So Everton, Brighton. This is the battle of the minnows here. Everton's trying to get back on form. Ancelotti's been doing his best. James Rodriguez, bringing in James Rodriguez has been huge. Everton's actually been playing really well. They got a lot of young talent. They got, I just think that Ancelotti's like a secret good coach that a lot of people don't give the credit to. And I think he's going to be able to make a switch around here. So my apologies for calling them minnows, because I think Everton actually is going to have a nice jump up this year, and they're going to be fun to watch. We go over to Leeds United and Man City. Leeds is freshly promoted, but they've been causing problems. They took Liverpool to a nice draw, or almost a draw in the opening day matches. Man City's been weakened. They got a lot of injuries, and they were just battered by Leicester last week. So Man City's going to get back on form, but Leeds United is no walkover. And these freshly promoted teams, they offer something new to a lot of these clubs that they haven't seen, obviously because they haven't played them, but as well as just there's a certain urgency when you finally get into this new league. Like, imagine playing in the lower league for X amount of years and you finally get your shot at the Prem. A lot of these guys aren't going to waste it, and it's beautiful to see. We got Newcastle and Burnley. Newcastle's still hoping to get some new leadership because they need some new blood in there. Newcastle's not looking very good. Burnley's a secret tough squad. They're going to be able to hold down a nice 1-1 game, I'm guessing. So that'll be a fun one to watch. Leicester, top of the table. I can't believe I'm saying that. I haven't said that since they won it back in the day. But Leicester and West Ham, the Hammers haven't been doing so hot. They've been looking really rough. I'm predicting that they get relegated this year, and Leicester's just looking unreal. Brendan Rodgers has come in and done an incredible job with that team. Jamie Vardy up front, winning the Golden Boot last year. He just continues to score. He gave up the Skittles and vodka. That was his well-known thing, that he loved to infuse his vodka with Skittles, and then he realized, oh, this is why I keep getting hurt. So he cut that from the lineup, but he's been doing really well. And I love cheering for Leicester. They're one of those teams, and I don't know, maybe it's because of their Cinderella run before, but when you watch them, you're just like, this is a good squad that they love each other. They all play for each other. They got Schmeichel and Nat. Like, they have a really, really neat squad. And they lost Chilwell, and that hurt them, but regardless, they just continue to win. They're sitting atop the table, and they love to score goals. And that game against Man City was a statement game, and that could come back to haunt Man City later, because Leicester and them are going to be fighting near the top of the table. We go over to Southampton and West Brom. The West Brom, albeit the old baggies. Yeah, this is going to be a fun one. Southampton, good squad. I don't expect a lot of goals here. Neither of them boast a lot of talent up front. But yeah, I could see a 1-1 game here. Won't be tuning into this one, but it's still a fun one. Then we get the Wolves and Fulham. I love me some Wolves. The Wolverhampton Wolves. They're the funnest team to watch. Nuno Santos and all the Portuguese wonders. They're signing a Fabio Silva. Like, I really like them. Traore. I know they lost Jota, who made his move to Liverpool, scoring last game, but they're still a great squad, and they're going to be fun to watch for years to come. And Nuno Santos, he's trying to make that jump. He wants his squad he wants them in the top 10, so he's going to make that jump. I think Fulham is a good squad, but Wolves are just in a league of their own. I really think they can finish top 4 this year, and I'd be watching out for them. I said it in the first podcast, like, this isn't your regular year. This is 2020. Like, this isn't, we've all seen it. We witness it every single day. That this isn't your regular run-of-the-mill year. And Leicester's sitting on top of the table, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Wolves kicking it with them in second or third. So that'll be a fun one. One that's near and dear to my heart. We got Arsenal against Sheffield United. Oh, God. Sheffield United is a really tough squad to play against. They beat Arsenal a couple times last year. Promoted 2 years ago, and all they do is just shock teams. Arsenal's not the only top squad they've shocked. They beat Man U. They beat Tottenham last year. They had really good year. They had a really good year. They're looking to repeat that this year. Tough squad to play against. Arsenal's going to be in tough. I know they're riding high after their win against Liverpool, which, as they should. That's a great win in the Carabao, but they need to get back on form. I'm expecting to see a lot of the big boys playing against Sheffield. I expect to see Aubameyang. I'm really curious to see Arsenal fans. I know you're wondering the same as I am. Is it going to be Willian or is it going to be Pepe? Like, it's kind of weird that you have two players in the same position that are just trading spots. And with the 72 million signing of Pepe and Willian being a free transfer, you're just going to leave 72 million on the bench. Arteta's got his plans. I don't know what it is because Pepe's got to be getting upset just coming in as a sub every game. He's not even getting starts in Carabao's. It's a weird situation there. Pepe's never lived up to his potential. I know it's there, and I hope the guy can do it. The Ivory Coast legend there, he can do it, but we'll have to see. But let's go to the game of the week here. It's going to be Manchester United against the Tottenham Hotspurs. Oh man, this is going to be a fun one. This is the game of the week. 9:30 in the morning on Sunday for any of those in Canada. Oh, I don't know how this is going to go. Mourinho against his old squad, and he does not mince words about him. He does not like him. He did not like his time at Manchester United. He's looking to rejuvenate Tottenham. I don't know how this game is going to go. Harry Kane's going to really want to make his mark. He was hurt pretty much the most of the year last year. Man, I honestly, this is going to be such a fun game to watch. If I wouldn't bet on this game because I have no idea how this game's going to go. Ole's been putting different lineups every single day for Manchester United. Son's going to be coming out there. Lloris is going to be saying, hey, I'm back. Oh, my Lord. This is going to be a fun game to watch. As a neutral, Man U Tottenham, it's going to be really good. I'd be checking that one out. And then to end off the match days, we got Aston Villa against Liverpool. Liverpool is sitting atop the table, tied with Leicester City with 9 points, undefeated. Poor Aston Villa. Liverpool is going to be mad after that loss in Carabao. I know they're going to be coming out with a big win. Jurgen Klopp, one of the best managers in the league. I love to see him out there. You can just feel his passion. I even saw him giving it to Gary Lineker at the end of a game when he said his team's performance was sloppy. And he said, what are you talking about sloppy? There's nothing sloppy about that. All they did was play really well. So they're going to be looking to rebound the big win against Aston Villa. I really love the way this entire league is shaping out. This is, like I said, 2020 is going to be a weird year. We got Man City and Man U sitting in 14th and 13th respectively right now. We got Tottenham and Chelsea in 8th and 9th. We got Leicester and Liverpool and Everton in the top for 9 points at the top of the table. This is a different year, and I'm really excited to see it. And I just want to give a full we're just going to go through every team, and I just want to say where I stand on these teams. We'll start at the bottom because that's the way to go. Fulham, Sheffield, and Burnley. They're all sitting at the bottom. It's early. I don't see them all sitting there at the end. I think Sheffield's going to make the jump. They really proved last year they can really play well. But once again, there's a lot of X factors here because a lot of these teams rely on their home advantage and having their fans in the crowd and just making those noises that I don't think you can really quantify that impact on the smaller clubs. I think the bigger clubs, you have so much money being brought in. You have so much talent. You have every player at your disposal is good. But it's not the same at those little clubs, and they need those little extra X factors and those little variables that the other teams don't get, and they don't have them this year. So Sheffield had a nice run last year, coming right out of relegation and finishing in the top 8. I don't know if that's going to repeat again this year, but I don't see them sitting at the bottom. Fulham definitely looks like they'll be sitting at the bottom. They do not look like a good club. Burnley as well. I think, this bottom 3, Burnley, Sheffield, Fulham could get jumped up because I think West Brom, the Baggies, don't look that great. They could get replaced. But like I said, who knows? This no fan stuff really hurts these small clubs. So West Ham, Burnley, Sheffield, Fulham, they're all going to be in trouble. The Wolves are sitting at the bottom right now. I don't think they're going to stay there. Nuno Santos is just trying to establish his gameplay. it's going to take some time, and they're going to lose some guys in the offseason, I'm sure. I'm sure Traore's looking for his way out, but Wolves are not going to be at the bottom of the table. I predicted them at the start of the year to finish top 6, and I stick by that. They're going to finish top 6. They're a good squad. A lot of talent. And then we move up. We got Southampton. Yeah, this one's a weird squad. Southampton could easily drop back down into relegation. They don't boast they have Danny Ings. Like they don't have that marquee striker. They don't have anyone that people are looking to buy. Danny Ings is the one, and he's been doing really well, but they're going to be flirting with relegation this year. I don't see them making any sort of jump. If they finish mid-table, I think they'll take that as a positive sign. We go up, we got Man U and Man City. I can't believe they're sitting at 14th and 13th. They won't be there at the end of the year, despite how much I want them to. But no, Man U and Man City, they're too good of squads. Man U continues to add guys. They're in talks with Ousmane Dembele from Barcelona. They apparently put in a request, so that's up to them if they can make that happen. I don't know how much of an addition that's going to be. They added Danny Van de Beek, who's really nice, but I know his jump to the Prem is going to be tough. Dembele is always hurt, but if he gets to Man U and somehow healthy, that's a hell of a sign and good for them. Man City, the Man City cheaters, as I like to call them, they won't be in 13th. Pep's too good of a coach. They have too much talent, and they'll spend too much money, and they're going to be coming back. Once Aguero comes back, missing those key guys can really hurt a team. I know losing David Silva last year to Real Sociedad hurt them. So they're in an adjustment period. The only thing is they can't take too much time to adjust because dropping these easy games, not a good look. Losing that game to Leicester was really bad. It was a statement game, and it looked bad on Man City, and it showed that they have vulnerabilities and that they're not invincible. We go up, we got Brighton Hove Albion. Great squad, probably mid-table. I don't expect much from them. West Ham, same thing. I could see them actually getting relegated. The Hammers haven't been playing well, but they've been pulling out these little squeaks with David Moyes as their coach. He tested positive for COVID, so he hasn't been on the bench for the past 2 games. It'll be interesting to see him get it added back to that. That COVID factor is such a crazy thing. Like I can imagine trying to manage a team virtually. I do it on FIFA, but I couldn't only imagine doing it in person. We got Newcastle coming up after that. They're still looking for new ownership because they need an influx of players. They're not going to finish 10th. I could see them dropping lower. Chelsea and Tottenham are sitting at 9th and 8th respectively. The London teams. Chelsea cannot finish 9th this year. Frank Lampard's got to be feeling the pressure. When your owner spends over $200 million in the offseason for you, you gotta do better than 9th. And then their quick exit from the Carabao to Tottenham isn't gonna hold good graces with Abramovich. So Tottenham and Chelsea, both good squads. I actually, at the start of the year, I picked Chelsea to win the league. I really liked all their offseason signings, and I get it. It takes time to build chemistry. So I'm tapering my expectations on Chelsea at the moment. But barring that these guys get in there and they're able to get it going, I don't see anyone stopping them because they added some firepower. Tottenham just trying to bounce back. They got no injuries this year. There's no excuses. You got Harry Kane, you got Son. They didn't do any big signings, but they're going to be a fun team to watch with Mourinho, and he's going to do his classic Mourinho. I'm sure he's going to park the bus, and you're not going to see any 5-1 games for Tottenham. You're going to see a lot of 1-0s, a lot of clean sheets. Jump up to Leeds United. Any neutrals out there, follow Leeds United. Like if you don't have a squad, take on Leeds United. They freshly promoted. They have one of the best fan bases in all of English footy. They love their squad, and I'm so pumped that they're one of those historic teams that have been relegated to the lower leagues for too long. They're back, and they're going to do it. I could see Leeds United definitely making a weird jump, finishing 5th, 6th. That wouldn't surprise me. They're sitting in 7th right now. We go up to Crystal Palace. I really want Zaha to get out of there. I hope he goes to Arsenal, but I really want Zaha to get out of there. Crystal Palace, it's weird that you're going to hold a guy that doesn't want to be there. I get it. He's just an absolute talent. So him and Benteke, it's going to be fun to watch Crystal Palace all year. I like Roy Hodgson, good coach. It'll be interesting to see if they're able to keep up there. I'm sure Zaha will probably be gone before the transfer window closes, and that's how footy works. So we move up to 5th here. We got Arsenal at 5th. They better finish top 4 this year. They need to get back into Champions League. This is unacceptable for the amount of money they have. And Stan Kroenke needs to invest that money because this is unacceptable. They cannot be finishing consistently in 5th, 6th, 7th, finish 8th last year. Not the way to go for the Gunners. Finish off the top 4 we got Aston Villa. Such a surprise. I can't believe they're sitting in 4th. They had a couple good fixtures to start it off. I don't see them being there much longer. They have a great goalie in Emi Martinez. They're kind of a slick team. I love their uniforms too. The classic purple and blue. I love it. But I don't see them finishing top 4. Everton, Liverpool, and Leicester. This is a crazy top 3. I can't believe I said those 3 are in top right now. Everton won't keep this going. Ancelotti's a great coach. James Rodriguez bringing in was a great signing. I don't see them keeping it up. But like I said, 2020, who knows? Liverpool, once again, still looking good. Jurgen Klopp, his boys are always going to be sitting at the top this year. And Leicester, my lord, the year Leicester won, no one would have guessed it. And, well, if they win this year, nobody would have guessed it. This is a crazy turn of event. This is 2020. I love it. I hate it because of all the COVID, but I love it because it's like, I love this parity. I love that I don't know every single week. I get to check the table. I don't know who's going to be sitting atop. No one would have guessed Leicester, Liverpool, Everton, and Aston Villa would have been your top 4 this year right now. So, love to see it. I'm going to come back. Thanks for joining for the EPL breakdown. I'm going to come back. I'm going to hit you with my top 10 list of kids under 25. You're going to want to hear this. It's good to have these guys on your radar. Love it. Stay tuned.
This is your ultimate stop for everything sports. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Should I say more? From the NFL, MLB, the NBA to MMA, it's all in here. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Listen now.
Welcome back to the GSMC Soccer Podcast. I'm Craig Jones. I finished giving you a nice English breakdown, my predictions of each team and where they'll end up in the table, a little Carabao Cup roundup. But now we're on to the top 10 under 25 list. And to be frank, the more I look at my list, I'm like, oh, it's a top 10 under 20 list. This is how these young kids are so good nowadays. It's amazing. You're getting kids jumping in as young as 16 into Premier League games. It's so fun to watch. And I really think any soccer fans out there, I just want to give you guys put some guys on your radar. So next time you tune into a game on a Sunday morning or a Saturday morning and you see these guys, you're like, oh, he is pretty good. And I can keep an eye out on this guy. So without further ado, here we go. Number 10, we're going Bukayo Saka. I got my Arsenal fix out of the way. You knew I was giving you an Arsenal player, and I'm giving you number 10 because this kid is so good. Anybody who knows this English player, he had quite the year. He got a nice big signing at the end of the year because of his performances. Mikel Arteta has praised his ability to play in any position. He played wing back. He'll come in midfield, and he's actually a natural striker. So that speaks to him. He's able to just move into every single position. He just had he's just got a nice call up from the English team for international duty, which I can only imagine at only 19 getting called up to play for your national team. It's got to be so exciting. So good for Bukayo. Watch out for Saka. I think he's going to be a really, really good player with years to come. And I don't know what position he's going to excel in because that's his talent. So we'll see where Arteta puts him. He hasn't been playing him at wing back as much this year, so I expect him to start playing more in the mid. Whether he makes it way up to striker, who knows? He's going to start having to put balls in the back of the net if he wants that. But I'd be watching out for Bukayo Saka for sure. Number 9, Ansu Fati. This kid is 16 years old and he's playing in Barcelona. And he was getting the nod over guys like Luis Suarez, which is one of the reasons Suarez left, was because Ansu Fati came in and They got a 16-year-old gem on their hands. He's the future. I know Barcelona fans are hoping that Messi can stay there, but if Messi leaves, then having Ansu Fati as a consolation prize isn't the worst by any means. He's done nothing but score goals for Barcelona. He's getting more playing time. I can just imagine what I was doing at 16. I was pumped when I got my license, let alone walking onto the pitch at Camp Nou, and you're having to play in front of those fans and to play alongside Messi and Busquets and Suarez and all these guys. I can only imagine Piqué, if it just like legends, and you're playing alongside them at 16 and you're performing. This is a good sign for Barcelona fans. You're going to be watching this kid for many years to come, and I'm a little jealous because when you grab a kid at 16, like 16 years old, and he's playing on the Camp Nou and he's scoring goals, he's not shying away from the pressure, and that's something that I know Barcelona fans got to be embracing. But let's stick into the La Liga. My number 8 pick is Vinicius Jr., the little Real Madrid stud. He is so fast. Anyone that's gotten to see him, you can tell Zinedine Zidane loves him. He's constantly playing him out on the wing. He adds a whole new dimension. He was playing big Champions League minutes last year. I expect him to do the same. And with the injuries to Hazard and the exit of Bale, this is Vinicius' position. He can take over that left wing, and he can fly up and down. I always have a special place in my heart for Real Madrid. I've never been a Barcelona fan. I've always cheered more for Los Blancos. So I love seeing Vinicius in there. He's only 19 years old. Zinedine, it's crazy when Zinedine Zidane, such a legendary manager, is going to really, really rely on a teenager, and he has been. And Vinicius played big minutes in the Champions League, and I expect the same this year. Watch out for Vinicius. That's my number 8 pick. We're going to go number 7 here, and I'm going Mason Mount from Chelsea. I know a lot of people are like, he just missed that final penalty against Tottenham, but in the Carabao. But guess what? Everybody misses penalties. There's not a player out there that Ronaldo misses penalties. Messi's missed penalties. Do they miss him as much? Maybe not, but Mason Mount's a young kid. He's 20 years old. He's getting big minutes. You can tell Frank Lampard really wants to make him a crucial part of the Chelsea squad. You can see it everywhere. I like this kid. He's got that, I don't know how to, he's got like a David Beckham midfield to me. That's where he's going to hold down. He's not going to be your big goal scorer. He's just going to play. A lot of the time you're going to not see Mount, and that's a good sign of a good player is when you don't see him out there, because he's just doing everything properly and just making the right pass and the right decision, and therefore you just take that stuff for granted. And I'd really be watching out for Mason Mount. That's why at 20 years old, for this kid to jump onto my number 6 is pretty impressive. Number 6 is we got João Felix. This is one of my favorite players in the world. He is the world's most expensive teenager. When Benfica sold him for $107 million to Atletico, and it's worth every penny. I know Diego Simeone, there's a reason he went out and got this Portuguese wonder kid. He's amazing, João Felix. I really love watching this guy play. He didn't really perform that well in Champions. Well, actually, he did come on and score in Champions League last year. What am I talking about? But he didn't. He wasn't able to get his team over the hump. He came in and was an instant fire starter. I'm curious to see how Simeone lines him up now with Suarez coming in. You could have a 3-headed monster with Diego Costa, Luis Suarez, and João Felix. They shipped off Morata because they knew Felix was the future. This kid's 19 years old, and he's definitely going to be one of the best players to ever set foot. I'm really excited to see him international duty. Secret wildcard, everyone. Watch out for Portugal when the World Cup rolls around. Portugal's got a lot of talent that people don't know about, and João Felix is one of them. Everyone always just thinks of Ronaldo, but they won the Euro a few years ago. I could see them going deep in the World Cup, and they're going to be led by João Felix. And they have Fabio Silva, another Portuguese wonder kid. But João. Watch out for João. Anybody, if you want to see good footy, just put on an athletic game and just watch João Felix, because this kid is unbelievable, and he's only 19 years old. Well earned to be the world's most expensive teenager. Let's move on. We got Matthias de Ligt. Fans will remember him few years back when Ajax made their Champions League run, he was the big defenseman at the back, just holding it down. I couldn't even believe this kid was only 20 years old, and he was 18 at the time, and he was just thick. He was just a big, strong, smart player. There's some talk about, because he was really sought after. Ajax was selling, like they didn't want to sell him, but Matthias said he wanted to leave, so all the big clubs came a knocking. But oddly, I saw a crazy report out of Barcelona that they didn't want him. Or no, it was Manchester United. My apologies. It was Manchester United. Because apparently they did their research, and his family had a history of obesity. So he had some bigger family members, and De Ligt was already a big boy. And man, you passed on him because of fears that because of his family history of obesity, they thought he was just going to gain weight and not be up to shape, and maybe just suffered tons of injuries. But they're regretting that decision. Whoever did that, whoever was on that scout team should be fired, because Matthias de Ligt is great. He ended up going to Juventus. Sure, he had a tough run to get going. He had a couple injuries, so that's always understandable. And cracking the back line of the Italian giants of Juventus isn't easy. You had Chiellini, you had Bonucci, you had a lot of good players there, and he's managed to do it. He's starting to make his impact. A Dutch kid leaving a Dutch club to go to an Italian club has got to be hard, right? The language, everything. There's going to be an adjustment period, and good thing for Juventus fans is he's only 20 years old, so it's not like time's a ticking here for this kid. So he's going to be really good. He's going to be one of the best defenders in the world. I'd compare him to a Van Dijk, and he's Dutch as well. Him and Van Dijk, and he's going to be able to learn with him when they get to do international duty together. He's going to benefit from that. Also, as I mentioned, Portugal, watch out for the Dutch team. They have one of the best backlines. Having De Ligt and Van Dijk as your two center backs is pretty lethal. And then you have De Jong and Van de Beek up front in the middle. Watch out for the Dutch. They're going to be a great team. Matthias de Light's going to be leading that team for years to come. And the passing of the guards happening in Italy. So with Chiellini and all these guys, Bonucci leaving, it's time for the new guard. And I'm sure Matthias de Ligt at 20 years old will gladly take over that title. Number 4, we go Kai Havertz. The German wonder kid just got sold for $120 million reportedly to Chelsea. He made his Chelsea debut in a League Cup game. It was against, I can't remember who. It was a minor league team. Nothing special, but he was able to pop in a hat trick. Shouldn't disqualify that, but I want to see Kai Havertz on full display. Chelsea made a great signing with him. Grabbing Timo Werner will grab the headlines, but grabbing Kai Havertz is the future. At only 19 years old, he did so well for Bayer Leverkusen. They're really gonna miss him leaving. But Chelsea, the rich get richer, and adding Kai Havertz, and I'm really curious to see how Frank Lampard uses him. He's technically an attacking midfielder, but I can see him slotting into that false 9 role. There's a lot of positions Kai Havertz can play. Anyone who's seen them, his passing is unbelievable, but his pace is really special. His change of direction, you can see it just in the crowd. I can feel how fast he's moving, and I can only imagine against the opposition. Him coming to the English League is great for everybody. I'm so excited for this. Bringing in Kai Havertz, I wish he would have come to Arsenal instead of going to Chelsea, but this is a really good addition by Chelsea, and everyone watch out for Kai Havertz, this German wonder kid. If you haven't seen him by Bayer Leverkusen, check the highlights, but if not, tune into an EPL game. I'm sure he's going to be getting a lot of minutes for Chelsea, and this is going to be fun to watch. Number 3, we're going over to Germany. We're going with Jadon Sancho. The English kid has been tearing up Borussia Dortmund for years. He was in these weird transfer talk. Apparently it was done, and it wasn't done for him to come to Manchester United. The deal fell through. He ended up re-signing with Borussia Dortmund. So I'm sure the fans of the Yellow Wall are pleased with that because they didn't want to see him go. He's an English kid, so I get him wanting to go back to Manchester United. But for his career, I swear Jadon Sancho should stay in Dortmund. This is the squad. They're young. They're fun. They have another kid coming up later in my list. Jadon Sancho is only 18 years old. If Marco Reus can get healthy, they lost Pulisic, if they would have somehow been able to keep him. That's the thing about Dortmund. Anybody that's followed Dortmund knows that they love selling their young players, and all they do is bring talent. They had Lewandowski at one point. They had Götze at one point. They have everyone. Basically, Pulisic, like I said, like you don't get squads as good as Dortmund without having to sell players, but at the same time having to develop players. And that's why in the long run, I think this is going to be really good for Jadon Sancho to stay in Dortmund. I hope he doesn't move to Man U. That's not just being selfish of him not wanting him to be in Manchester. I just think for the length of his career, if he can spend a few more seasons in Dortmund at least, he can play alongside some serious talent. He can get a ton of minutes. And once that yellow wall is coming back, like Dortmund has a reputation of being one of the craziest places to play, hardest for opposition, and most fun for the players at home. They love their team. They bleed Dortmund. They bleed yellow. So Jadon Sancho, I hope you get to stay at Dortmund. 18-year-old wonder kid. Watch out for this guy. But speaking of wonder kids, we'll go to Erling Haaland, the blonde bomber, playing right alongside Jadon Sancho. What a snag by Dortmund. I don't even know how they got him. They only got him for 30 million. It's crazy that they were able to pick him off from Salzburg. This Norwegian has come in and just score goals. That's all he does. Hey, what do you want to do today, Erling? I'm just going to score goals. Because that's what he does. He's done it every single game. He continues to do it. He did it against PSG in the Champions League. They weren't able to hold on. PSG came back and ended up beating him. But I love Erling Haaland. I love everything about him. He's a huge, strong striker. He's only 18 years old. The thing too, I think people don't understand about Erling Haaland is he does this weird little celebration where he's meditating, and everyone PSG mocked him, and people give him a hard time, but he really credits that with his father and teaching him just to be mindful of everything, and it translates on the pitch. You can tell this kid is mindful. He's enjoying every single minute. He loves his squad. He wants to stay in Dortmund. He isn't trying to jump to these bigger clubs. He made the move from Salzburg in Austria to Germany. He could have gone anywhere. There was a lot of teams poaching for him, but he said Dortmund is the club that I want to go in. I want to win at, and the fans and everything. And I know RB Leipzig, who actually is the parent club to Salzburg in Austria, was really hoping they would hook him up and let him come to the German Giants, but he ended up going to the yellow wall. Blonde bomber, Erling Haaland, just an absolute stud, everybody. If you want to see just a pure striker, he's tall. I think he's going to only get faster. He definitely needs to get his foot speed up because he's a little too slow right now to beat those defenders, but he doesn't need to because all he does is bang goals. So I'm really pumped to see Erling Haaland, young 18-year-old kid. You got to watch out for him. And to finish it off, number one on my list of top players under 25. You knew it was coming. It had to be. He's the Bundesliga Rookie of the Year winner. He's a Champions League winner. He's a Bundesliga winner. And he's a Canadian. So I'm going with Alphonso Davies. My man, 18 years old, went from Edmonton, Alberta, playing for free. He was in a free footy program. He's a refugee. He just works so hard. He went to the Vancouver Whitecaps where he was playing striker, got recruited by by Munich, sorry. And it's funny, going back to those recruitment, Barcelona got asked about him, and then the president Bartomeu said, isn't he Canadian? And the guy's like, yeah. And he's like, well, we don't want him. So he completely shunned him because of his Canadian passport, and they're regretting that now because he set up one of the winning goals against their 8-2 trouncing against Barcelona. So never judge a book by its cover. Alphonso Davies is coming onto the scene. He's 18 years old. He took over Munich, switching from striker to halfback. I don't think people really grasp how crazy that is. To put it in other terms, I guess that's like going from forward to defense in hockey, but it's not even. It's more than that. And Alphonso did it because he's an intelligent footy player. Flick did the best thing possible. He's put Alphonso in the best position to succeed. I can only imagine how menacing he is running down that line. And serious credit, he shut down Messi. Let's say it flat out. In that Champions League game, Messi was going down that wing and he hated it. He hated seeing Alphonso every single time. And Alphonso did his job. At 18 years old, you shut down one of the best players in the world. And he didn't do it single-handedly by no means. But Alphonso, if you watch him, he's one of the fastest players in the Bundesliga. They nicknamed him the Roadrunner on the team. But he's way more than that. He's just not some speedster. He does the most intelligent balls. And he's got that grit and determination. Like, you see Alphonso, when he loses the ball, there's no walking for Alphonso back. He sprints back, he hustles, and he wants that ball back. It's so great to watch. I can't believe that he's only 18 years old. I can't believe he's from my hometown, and I can't believe that I got to watch him not only win Champions League, but win the treble. They won everything they could win, and then they followed it up with a Super Cup win to start the year this year. Yeah, they had a little slip up against Hoffenheim, but that's bound to happen. Maybe that's the winning hangover. But Alphonso's played super well. He's such a young talent. Everyone watch over this kid. So that's me. He's number 1 on my list of top 10 under the age of 25. I'll give you a quick rundown again to end it off here, folks. My number 10, I had Bukayo Saka at 19. Then I had Ansu Fati. Then I had Vinicius Jr. Then Mason Mount. Yao Felix, he could be higher. He's a really great player. He's the world's most expensive teenager for a reason. Matthias de Ligt, I hope he can have a bounce back year. He had a little rough year, but I've seen him at Ajax. I know what he can do. Kai Havertz, why are you in Chelsea? You're so good. Why aren't you in Arsenal? It hurts me. Then we got Jadon Sancho and Erling Haaland, the 2 Dortmund players. They're going to be lethal up front. Jadon, please stay in Dortmund. Play with Erling. You guys are going to dominate for years to come. You're both just teenagers. And then I had it finished off with my man Alphonso Davies. So I hope I was able to give everybody some names and faces of these young footy fans. So when you're sitting on your couch, you can be like, whew, this kid is good. Jonesy was right. So thank you, everyone, for listening to the GSMC Soccer Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I'd like to ask you that you remember, please subscribe to the show and write a nice review. It really helps us out. And if you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, really appreciate it, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me. Enjoy the footy this weekend. Love you all. Take care.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Soccer Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.